We'll begin on the home front, where two suspected human traffickers have been arrested by the Nigeria Immigration Service at the Ilela Border Command in Sokoto State. Reports obtained by VOP News reveal that the two female individuals were nabbed while trying to move their victims to Algeria via Niger Republic. The Controller of Immigration overseeing the Ilela Border Command, Tony Akuneme, provided this information in a statement released today in Abuja. Akuneme reported that the victims, identified as Vivian Chigozie and Miracle Felix, have been transferred to the Sokoto State Command of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. He noted that the victims were intercepted at a Tudeta checkpoint located at the border between Sokoto and Zamfara State following a tip-off from NAPTIP agents in Sokoto. Akuneme reiterated the dedication of the NIS led by Comptroller General Kemi Nandap to combat human trafficking and migrant smuggling at Nigeria's borders. He emphasized that the NIS would maintain its collaboration with NAPTIP and other relevant security agencies to address the issue of human trafficking effectively. Trabra also praised their consistent cooperation with NAPTIP in the ongoing battle against human trafficking and the smuggling of migrants. He expressed his gratitude to the Comptroller and his team for their vigilance. In another development, the World Bank has announced a 30-month debarment affecting two Nigerian firms, Viva Atlantic Limited and Technology House Limited, as well as their managing director and chief executive officer, Norman Didam, due to alleged corrupt activities. VOP News understands that this declaration prohibits Viva Atlantic Limited, Technology House Limited and Didam from engaging in any projects or operations or financed by the World Bank Group during this period. According to a statement from the Washington-based institutions, the sanctions are as a result of findings related to fraudulent, collusive and corrupt practices associated with the National Social Safety Nets project in Nigeria. The NSSNP was designed to strengthen Nigeria's social safety and the systems by delivering targeted financial assistance to impoverished and vulnerable households. However, the World Bank's investigations uncovered significant violations of its anti-corruption framework during the procurement and contract processes in 2018 involving Viva Atlantic Limited and also Didam Technology House Limited. The World Bank that the companies and Didam misrepresented a conflict of interest in their bidding documents and improperly obtained confidential tender information from public officials, which constitutes fraudulent and collusive behavior. Additionally, it was found that Viva Atlantic Limited and Didam had falsified the company's experience records and submitted counterfeit manufacturers' authorization letters. They also provided incentives to public officials associated with the project, which amounted to corrupt practices. These actions were deemed to be direct violation of the principles set forth in the World Bank's anti-corruption framework, leading to the imposition of sanctions. Now, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, in an executive order on Monday, reinstated the death penalty for severe crimes. President Trump signed about 200 executive actions memoranda and proclamations on his first day in office. His executive order undoes most of the policies of his predecessor, former President Joe Biden. In the executive order, which is titled Restoring the Death Penalty and Protecting Public Safety, the 47th President of America decried what he described as a subversion of law. The new executive order published on the new White House website read, "The Attorney General shall pursue the death penalty for all crimes of a severity demanding its use." According to Trump, capital punishment remains an essential tool for deterring and punishing heinous crimes. Still on the world news at 12, a foremost Professor of Political Science and former Minister of External Affairs Bolaji Akinyemi has condemned Nigeria's decision to become a partner country in the economic bloc BRICS. According to him, it was belittling and a slap on the face of Nigerians to accept such a role. He argued that with the status and gross domestic product of Nigeria, the country should have been an original member of BRICS or granted full membership during its expansion rather than a partner country. Speaking very recently as a guest on a Monitor television program about the recent admission of Nigeria as a partner country in BRICS, Akinyemi said he is not happy about the development. The special advisor also to President Bola Tinubus on media and public communication, Daniel Bola, also responded that Nigeria's partnership status was an advantage as it would help the country in global politics. Also, the presidency maintained that Nigeria's interest is not threatened by joining the BRICS economic bloc. Highlighting the advantage of the country's partner status, President Tinubu's media aide noted that BRICS member states and the bloc would always consider the effects of policies on partner nations, while also emphasized that the opinions of partner nations, including Nigeria, would always be considered by the BRICS bloc in decision-making. VOP News also understands that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Maitama Yusuf Toga, announced on Saturday that Nigeria was accepted as a partner nation to BRICS. Now, the People's Democratic Party's much anticipated National Executive Committee meeting has been thrown into uncertainty following a resurgence of divisions within the party's National Working Committee. Also, the National Working Committee responsible for organizing NEC meetings remains entangled in internal disputes, particularly regarding the continued tenure of acting National Chairman Ambassador Umar Damagum. Earlier conflicts led to the suspension of Damagum, National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba, and other party members. However, interventions by PDP governors temporarily restored peace, reversing the suspensions. Now, in a meeting in Jos Plateau State, PDP governors led by Governor Bala Mohammed urged the National Working Committee to convene the National Executive meeting by February 2025. The 98th National Executive Committee meeting had initially scheduled the 99th for August 15, 2024, but it was postponed multiple times, ultimately indefinitely, until the governor's intervention. Despite earlier progress, the fragile peace within the party appears to have deteriorated following new disputes recently between some certain members or high-profile members within the People's Democratic Party. And also in still that development, however, it happens to be that at the inaugural press conference, Abdullahi had referenced a court order restricting the Deputy National Secretary from calling National Executive Committee or National Working Committees, signing documents or performing other duties without Anyanwu's directive. Last week, Damagum and embattled National Secretary Senator Samuel Anyanwu accused Ologunagba of unilateral actions, appointing Deputy National Secretary Ibrahim Abdullahi as their spokesperson. Meanwhile, Ologunagba, defending his role, asserted that the party's communication channels are clearly outlined in the constitution. The PDP's National Publicity Secretary also disclosed that it had authorized persons to convey the party's activities to the public, and this position is part of the National Working Committee. The Deputy Publicity Secretary also is not a member of the NWC and cannot speak for the party. On the National Executive meeting of the party, and consultations will follow. National Executive Committee should resolve these issues, but we must first unite as one. Now, recent political activities in the country indicates that President Bola Tinubus has consolidated power ahead of the 20th National Legislature and won most state governorships, reducing opposition parties to a shadow of their former selves. Ahead of 2027, Tinubu's APC appears to be following a similar playbook. Opposition figures are defecting en masse, enticed by the lure of political relevance, financial incentives, and promise of patronage. Many opposition leaders face pressure from their constituents who see alignment with the ruling party as a pathway to resources and opportunities. Political analysts say President Tinubu's consolidation of power, while a testament to his political acumen, shows the systemic weaknesses of Nigeria's democratic institutions. For democracy to thrive, the opposition must find a way to resist co-optation, rebuild its grassroots, support and challenge the pervasive culture of patronage that continues to shape Nigeria's politics. Now, the People's Democratic Party in Otolo Ward 1, Newi North Local Government area of Anambra State has expelled a former Federal Commissioner with the Public Complaints Commission, Samben Nwosu. Nwosu, a senatorial aspirant for the upcoming Anambra South senatorial by-election, was expelled over allegations of fraud and anti-party activities. VP News understands that this decision was conveyed in a letter of expulsion from our great party dated January 17, 2025, and signed by the PDP chairman and secretary ward. The letter directed Nwosu to return all party property in his possession to the ward chairman or secretary immediately. The Anambra South senatorial seat became vacant following the death of Senator Ifeanyi Uba of the All Progressives Congress, who also had been a leading aspirant under the PDP platform for the by-election. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment. Do kindly stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. I currently have Mr. Elvis Elimehele joining us via the telephone this afternoon on the World News at 12. Mr. Elvis, good afternoon and thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Esther. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, there's been quite a lot of controversy recently concerning the opposition political party. There are statements that the presidency, specifically the All Progressives Congress, seems to have more of the hold in the political scenario as to the fact that the opposition seems to be defecting to the current administration. And this means that there is no tight competition whereby in 2027, this ruling party may actually emerge as the winner in 2027. Would you agree with such theories by political analysts?
I come again. The line broke at some point.
I said that for example, the 2027 elections coming very close. There are speculations and insinuations that the opposition party seems to be weakened, fragile, and literally moribund. They are not as challenging as they were during the time of former President Olusegun Obasanjo or during the time of late former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. All right, and that with how it says, most of the opposition party members are defecting to the current administration, to this current APC. It obviously feels that by 2027 there may be no holds barred for this current party to win the elections. Would you agree with those political analysts?
Yeah, right. I said week off before the election. What have to do with starting on time.
Okay.
Elections are not sprints. Elections have to smile into the election environment today. Winning an election. you know. So I think I even delay with what we are saying before 2027. Let me tell you, it will just be a walkover for the ruling party. There may even be no opposition at all because we will see more defection before 2027. That's all.
So how would you advise the opposition to handle this if this is what we're experiencing now? Because political theorists like yourself feel that this administration is not properly challenged and that the president's consolidation of power, while it is a testament to his political acumen, shows the systemic weakness of Nigeria's democratic institutions. So, I mean, what then would you say that would wake up the opposition? Are we going to see the same process? Something just...
Waking vision has to do with the political party speaking yes and trying to fix all imbroglio, all the crises that are ridden the opposition political parties. They should speak the truth. That is just spoken to so that the crisis, internal crisis that have ravaged all the political parties, whether PDP, whatever, all of them have, even NFPP, they all have internal crisis. They have to think how to solve that, and solving that means they must show self-interest, show greed, and speak truth, so that they can stand as a formidable opposition against the APC come 2027 general election. Not this one that we are seeing the candidate of NFPP will speak from one side, the former candidate of Labour Party will speak from one side, former candidate of PDP will speak from. It is not done. It is the political party they came out from, where that they had their flag, that they brought their flag in 2020 general election, that is supposed to be speaking, not individual who was a candidate now begin to be now acting as opposition. It will not go much. It will not go anywhere. So the political party well arranged, formidable, follow up, form a shadow government. They're supposed to be a shadow government, be able to criticize all the politics, all the policies of the government, so that people will be made aware of the happenings. It's the opposition that's supposed to lecture the electorate. This is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this. This government has missed it. Opposition is not doing their job. What we hear Obi, we call for press conference because it was former Labour Party presidential candidate. We wear article with tweet because it was former PDP presidential candidate. It's not done in that manner. So the opposition party has to wake up and settle all the internal crises within them so that they can act formidably towards 2027 general election.
All right, Mr. Elvis, let's move on to another conversation here, which is what is the fulcrum. Whether we like it or not, there will always be development concerning this issue. For example, a former aide to former President Muhammadu Buhari, Bashir Ahmed, went to his X handle and he made a tweet in response to what Omoyele Sowore said. Let me read out what Omoyele Sowore said before Bashir Ahmed now responded. Now, according to Omoyele Sowore, he says, this fellow, Bashir Ahmed, is speaking the mind of his benefactors. When Ad M. Buhari was in power and Ad Nnamdi Kanu was one of the reasons he would get openly aggressive and upset. Truth is that Bashir Ahmed just didn't wake up to make this egregious statement. He represents a tendency in Nigeria, and they assume Nigeria is a private real estate and only they determine what could happen inside it. It is a reason why I have consistently stated that Admaza Nnamdi Kanu is being held hostage by these feudal characters. He stands no chance of getting justice in a court of law, and court cases are just a charade meant to create an impression that he is an indefinite detention as a result of these bogies they label as charges. Hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu now. Now, Bashir Ahmed now responded by saying, first and foremost, I am not speaking on behalf of anyone here because it is no secret that Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist who harbors hatred for this country while inflicting terror not only on the nation but also on his own people. And we all know that this post is only an attempt, according to what Bashir Ahmed said, that the post is only an attempt to align himself with a particular audience for political and personal gains. How would you react to Bashir Ahmed's response?
He's speaking the mind of his former boss. Let me tell you, because it was his former boss that declared a terrorist organization. So even if he say he's speaking his mind, he's not speaking his mind. Let me tell you, Esther, everybody that worked in with Buhari throughout that 8 years, or the part of Buhari's government, will never be part of those that will be seat for Nnamdi Kanu. Remember, all were made by Buhari throughout his 8 years against IPOB and Southeast, Dotty Seko and all that. So everything you are still saying now that he is saying is the carryover of the Buhari's administration, and all the beliefs about Buhari's administration concerning IPOB is what he is also saying now. Like I always tell you, Esther, that Nnamdi Kanu matter might likely end as a political settlement, between this government, Tinubu's government, and probably the people of the Southeast, for against 2027 general election.
All right, but in the situation where he termed him a terrorist, when the court of law has not actually called him one, or he's not been convicted as a terrorist, what does that say as to how he views the entire Nnamdi Kanu scenario? Because the first tweet he made was, anybody vying or soliciting for the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu should also be. So that was the first tweet he actually he wrote before a couple of persons reacted to what he wrote before this response. So in situations that we have found ourselves like this, and a lot of Nigerians seem to supposedly, some certain group of persons seem to align themselves with his train of thought. They also seem to align themselves with how he has described the whole situation, or described Nnamdi Kanu as a terrorist. In that particular regard, why won't a competent court of jurisdiction accelerate the process and let us know if indeed this term that this individual called Nnamdi Kanu out as is how the court sees him? And if that is the case, then let him serve his sentence, if indeed he's considered as by some certain persons as one. So how would you react to that?
It's very wrong, because the court of law have not pronounced Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist. It's wrong to have said that. But let me tell you, because his boss, former President Buhari, has already declared IPOB a terrorist organization. That is where he is borrowing the word now, calling the head of IPOB a terrorist, even when the court has not made that pronouncement. So it's a carryover of Buhari's belief about IPOB, and that's what all of them that work with Buhari have against IPOB and against Nnamdi Kanu. So I'm not surprised from what he said. But that's to tell you the belief they have towards Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB. That's what we are still seeing now, that even the Southeast have more of military deployed to Southeast more than even the Northeast and Northwest, where terrorism have been over the years. But unfortunately, they are not seeing what is there in the Northeast and Southeast. I mean, Northeast and Northeast and Northwest as anything, but they are seeing more of it in Southwest and Southeast than what in South. So it is just their belief, and it will take a very long while for this kind of their beliefs to be raised from their mind. That's why I am not really too comfortable with even our Eastern brothers or whoever is involved in all the killings in this,
All right,
the belief of these Northern people concerning IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu. They are buying. Okay, we already said they are terrorists. You can see all the killings and stuff in the Southeast today. Then it will now begin to display, though they have already tagged IPOB a terrorist organization. But now make his pronouncement on Nnamdi Kanu. Then before anybody can begin to give, even when the court has not said so, using that word against him.
All right, Mr. Elvis, national security is being said to be under threat, and the NIS and DSS have been urged to take swift action against Sahelian immigrants. And we know that there is a growing security concerns, all right, in local governments across several areas in the country. In Cross River State, the Nigeria Immigration Service, Department of State Services, and other security forces have been called upon to urgently address the influx of illegal miners and immigrants from the Sahel region of West Africa. Now, despite the presence of the Nigerian Army personnel stationed in the affected communities, reports of further arrivals of suspicious individuals continue to surface. These men or individuals still believe, coming from the Sahel, they have been suspected of engaging in illegal mining activities under the radar of the military, specifically areas where the military is conscripted to look after. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, would you say that our intelligence agencies, our security personnel are in the dark of this? And what is our policy for, accepting persons or immigrants from that part of the region, specifically the Sahel region, considering how majority of them have been the crux or the bane of insecurity in the Northeast?
Yeah, I would say the idea that I think is happening is that the Nigerian government is not serious in covering this influx of terrorists from the Sahel region. Since the breakaway of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger out of ECOWAS, it is unexpected by Nigeria to know that Nigeria is a major threat to that breakaway, number one. And our president is ECOWAS Commission to the state of our borders, even during Buhari's regime, when he threw the border intelligence. Look at what Trump is talking about Mexico now. He's talking that Mexico cannot come with the number of military personnel we have in Nigeria. We cannot man the northern border. And that's not the only border we have in the south and in the east. So it is not something that we should play with at this time, because more are coming in, and since they see Nigeria as a fertile land, they don't see Nigeria, and they will find a way to come in and cause trouble for us and make us, not be able to follow up our developmental side, because when you are running after insecurity, you are not going to face the development that will benefit the people.
All right, Mr. Elvis, finally, before I let you go, during Trump's inauguration, the president and his vice were not invited. Rather, a couple of religious personnel in this country were invited. We saw Nathaniel Bassey, we saw Pastor Kumi of Deeper Life Church, and a lot of critics feel that this is a slight or an embarrassment to the fact that the president wasn't even recognized. At least Nigeria is one of the populous African nations, and he wasn't recognized to be actually invited for his inauguration. Do we think that this is basically the view of Trump for Nigeria as a country, as to the fact that he is not in support, or possibly in support, or does not recognize the administration of President Bola Tinubus? I mean, what would you say to what a lot of critics believe with him not being invited?
Well, I keep telling you that where you are seeking integrity, it is not you that pump yourself into the people that you want to get integrity from. It's the people that you earn it, you don't buy it. I see our president, try to force himself into the developed nations of the world by all means. But what just played out now shows that even with all he has done so far, he is not recognized as us as one of those.
You feel the president is forcing himself to be recognized by these nations?
That's what I see. With all the travel for about that the Kingston is the chief marketing officer. If he's the chief marketing officer, his integrity has to propel it.
So are you saying the president has no integrity, and that's why he's not being recognized by these countries? He lacks integrity?
Yeah. You know the 450,000 US dollars that we talked about during the election that he forfeited. I mean, it's not clear. Just some weeks about the PRO and the law firm company, to clear his name. Trump has all this. He has all this information. So Trump is not a mad person. This is somebody that said American. So America must gain his glory. Every president that wants to gain his glory, Esther, must continue from his own. If Nigerians are doing well today, send Nigerians, some of us here that will tell about the president Tinubu to the world, enjoying Nigeria, and Nigeria is doing well. And as a result of the gospel of Nigeria, we work with him as a man of integrity, a man who has been able to live up to his bidding. So every invitation that he deserves in the world will be sent to him. So when they open Nigeria, they keep hearing of Nigeria insecurity, Nigeria poverty, this, that. How will you be? How will the world say? Look at 98 people just roasted to death in Nigeria State over the weekend. That poverty and government is not how to alleviate the suffering of the people. They see people running to school when they see a tank. So these things are the internet, they are in the reading. So it is something for him to recognize as a president. But it is the people, we the people of Nigeria, that will tell to the world before the world will begin to give him his place in the world for recognition.
All right, Mr. Elvis, what should the president do if this is the impression? Because I think that's the reason why he was able to consult a firm, a PR firm, all right, to brand him, to clear his image. Obviously, we've seen some files being redacted, files that connects him, directly to the whole $460,000 heroin trafficking, the whole certificate saga situation, and all of that. If a lot of Nigerians already have this impression, if a Kemi Badenoch keeps speaking ill of Nigeria, despite the president's effort to rebrand himself, rebrand his image, and to be recognized by these powerhouse countries, if this doesn't work, what are the steps immediately the president should take to rebrand his image? Because there's a possibility that he may want to recontest in 2027. So if before 2027, whatever modus operandi he applies doesn't work, then what else? What happens next?
It's very easy. First of all, they should shun telling Nigerians lies.
Okay.
The presidency and everybody that is involved in the government of the day must shun lies. The president must sit down at home and feel the pains of Nigerians and work to alleviate Nigerians of this pain. I was celebrating Trump yesterday when he was being sworn in, because if you read his speech, everything about his speech, surrounds how to make America great and how to make Americans enjoy the benefits that the government can release for them. Unfortunately, when they make speech in Nigeria, they only come to tell you lies. The statistics they read out tell you lies. The government appointees comes to tell you more lies to defend their office and defend the government. So if these things are not cleared of Esther, the position that they desire in the Committee of War or Committee of Nations of the World, they will not get it, because the people in Nigeria that are telling these lies will come to know that they're telling all these lies over the years, and it is not. Well, I just saying 39 something trillion budget. It did at this time. Let's ask me how these budgets perform. None of them will be able to tell you how it performs. It is. If you read that budget, because the National Assembly are busy and they are doing the job for Nigeria. They're not doing anything. They are denying us their pocket. I tell you that the poverty we are talking about in 2024, that we saw so many different battles like that because of price. I pray to not still when I will sleep with the hustling to police in Christmas. That's to tell you that the life is much. They are not just what we are feeling, and they are not ready to be suffering of Nigeria. Therefore, position that the ordinary ought to deserve in the committee of the world, they will not deserve it. Extra.
All right, Mr. Elvis Alimehele, thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your perspective or giving us shedding light into some of these issues and the questions posed at you. We sincerely do appreciate.
Thank you, Esther. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. To wrap up the world news at 12, here again are the top stories. NRS arrests 2 in Sokoto over alleged human trafficking. World Bank bans 2 Nigerian companies from operation over alleged fraud. Professor Akinyemi berates Nigeria for partnership with BRICS. And Governor's truce crumble as PDP National Executive Committee meeting threatened. details, obviously, you heard. My name is Esther Machiku. Thank you for listening. And at 1:30 p.m., we have Martyrs. Kindly join us. Let's extensively look into other issues that affects us. Good afternoon.